Welcome everybody. I'll introduce myself very quickly. I'm Jason Barnard. I've been on the internet optimizing for Google since 1998, so that's 22 years. I started off as a blue dog in a cartoon, which is kind of cool, and was working on Google when Google was incorporated in 1998. So I've got a lot of experience in working with Google and on Google. I've been optimizing for Google for well over 20 years now. And now my specialization is brand SERPs. Now, this talk is going to talk about what your brand SERP is, why it's phenomenally important, and why you can't ignore it. So let's get going. What do I mean exactly by brand SERP? That's the first thing I need to get very clear. I don't mean any search with your brand name in it. I mean the exact match brand name. So when somebody searches your exact match brand name, this is an example of a good-looking SERP. My little logo, Calicube, of the Falcon Calicube on the right-hand side, which I love, knowledge panel with the homepage, the site links, Twitter boxes, video boxes, and image boxes. So what comes up when somebody searches your exact match brand name is the question of the day. Now, what do I mean when I say it's your business card? People search your brand name, and what they see is just like your physical business card. Now think about that for a moment. When I talk to somebody, I give them my business card, that's great. But if they then go online and search my brand name, what do they see? That's also my business card. You could even go as far as say it's my homepage because they see that page before they see my homepage. Back to business cards. 3 reasons that you cannot ignore your Google business card. And it's also 3 great reasons to keep listening. This is going to last about half an hour. And after that, I'll take your questions if you have any. Please do post the questions. I'm really pleased and happy to answer any questions you might have. Question number 1, who is searching your brand name? I'm going to go through that during this talk. I've given you a little clue there. Why is this important to you? Another little clue there. And what can you do? Off we go. So we're going to go through this with 5 questions and 5 strategies. Question number 1, who's searching your exact match brand name? Who's looking at this business card that I've been talking about? Number 1 is existing clients. Why do existing clients search your brand name? Navigation. We'll look at that very briefly later on. These existing clients are searching your brand name, but also prospects. These people are bottom of funnel. These people are researching you just before they make the decision to buy from you or do business with you in whatever way that might be. But also potential hires. If you're in an industry where it's difficult to hire great people, potential hires will research you before they come and sign on the dotted line to become one of your employees. But also journalists, they'll research you to see what they can find out about you before they write an article. Potential partners, the list gets very long. Basically, anybody who is already doing business with you or is thinking of doing business with you in whatever way they might be thinking about doing business with you. So these people are the people who really matter to your bottom line. Question number 2, why are they searching? I've mentioned it very briefly. They're either navigating to you or they're researching you. People who are navigating to you know about your brand. They're probably an existing client. They're going to search your brand name to navigate through to your site. And an existing client will see your brand SERP frequently during their lifetime with you. In some cases, for some businesses, that could be multiple times a day. That means that whatever your business card is showing, whatever your business card looks like, is going to get seen by these people multiple times during their time with you, multiple times per day, potentially. That means that the message really gets through to them. A bad message could potentially lose you that client. But also people who are researching you. And this is the really interesting one for most businesses. It's bottom of funnel. It's people who are about to sign on the bottom line. So you really need to make sure that when they do research you, they see something really convincing. Imagine you meet somebody in real life. Let's not even talk about offline. Real life. I convinced them that my business is wonderful and that they want to do business with me. I give them my business card. What do? They don't go straight to my site, they search my name. If what they see is unconvincing or negative or inaccurate, I might well lose the prospect that I had almost converted. All that hard work, actually talking to somebody, is lost. That's why your Google business card is so very important. Question number 3, what do they see? Is it perfect? If it is perfect, your job's done and you can probably leave this webinar, but it isn't perfect. It never is perfect. It can always be improved. If it's good, you can still improve it. You can make it better. And we'll see in a moment how you can do that and to what extent you can make it better. So you should really stick around. And anything else, you can make yourself very comfortable because you've got an awful lot of work to do. Question number 4, how does Google decide what to show them? How does it decide whether it's going to show them something boring and negative, like on the left, or something interesting, positive and convincing, like on the right? It's looking for value to the user. And that user is your audience. It's Google's user, but it's your audience. And they want to bring value to that audience, and the intent of that audience is incredibly important. They're looking to research you, they're looking to find out about you, or they're looking to navigate to the site. So Google decides what to show them, depending on what it feels is going to be valuable to that user. So it has to be valuable to navigate to your site, or it has to be valuable to explain who you are, what you do, and are you credible? Question number 5, what can you do to make your brand SERP sexy? I like the word sexy, but what does sexy mean? It means accurate. It says exactly what it is you do accurately and precisely. It needs to be positive. Obviously, you want Google to reflect something in that brand SERP that's positive about you so that when people see it, whether they're an existing client or a potential client or a journalist or a potential hire or a potential partner, they see a positive message. And I repeat, that is accurate about your brand, the brand message you want to get across. And more than anything, you want it to be convincing. Now that's key. It needs to be convincing. It needs to convince the existing client to stay with you, but it also needs to convince new clients, prospects, potential hires, journalists, that they want to engage with you. So this is audience participation. Why don't you take a look at your brand SERP? Which is yours? Is it the one on the left, or is it the one on the right, or is it something in between? My bet is it's something in between. And you can move much closer to the one you see on the right with the Twitter boxes, the video boxes, and the image boxes, potentially even a knowledge panel, by working to optimize your brand SERP. So how do we go about optimizing it? There are 5 strategies. We have content you control, content you semi-control, content you don't control. We have the option of drowning results we don't like. And they don't have to be negative results to want to drown them. They can simply be suboptimal. And rich elements, which is my favorite. I love rich elements. Most people call them SERP features. I call them rich elements because I like the idea that we're talking about multimedia, rich multimedia content that we can trigger, generate, push up onto our brand SERP to make it look, and this is the key word that I said earlier on, convincing. So firstly, the content that we control, the results that we control, very obvious, very simple. Your homepage. You control your homepage. Look at the brand SERP you just searched for, your own brand name or your personal brand name. You can search for your name. Search for my name if you want to. My name, because I've been doing this for 7 years, if you search for Jason Barnard, you will see that the result is positive, accurate, and convincing. And if you're in France, my Malt profile comes up, which is wonderful for Malt. And wonderful for me because I look impressive because Malt are impressive. So look at the top of your brand. Oh yes, and very quickly, I've been working at this for 7 years. So initially you might imagine this is incredibly easy. Optimizing my brand SERP will take me a week, a month, maybe a year. After 7 years, I'm still optimizing my brand SERP. I'm still making it perfect. So Look at the top, your homepage. Is the meta title and meta description, the blue link and the description underneath it, is that convincing and is it positive? Does it address the audience we're talking about? And that's vital. If it says blue widgets, buy blue widgets, blue widgets, blue widgets are wonderful, that's rubbish. You don't look impressive. It's keyword stuffing. It's old SEO. It doesn't look good. It should represent your brand, because the people who are looking at this homepage are people who are looking to do business or are already doing business with your brand. Underneath that, do you have the rich site links? The rich site links are the multiple links that push into your site. Why does Google put those? It puts them there because people who know you, principally people who are already doing business with you, your existing clients, want to navigate to specific areas of your site, your login page, for example. Or they're researching you in the last stages of research, right at the bottom of the funnel, right ready to convert. And they're looking for what? Pricing? Maybe they're looking for pricing. Maybe they're looking for about us, and they want to navigate straight to that area. If you don't have rich site links, you should. On the right, we've got Google Ads. I used to think Google Ads weren't worth having on Brand SERP. I now have changed my mind. If you buy Google Ads on your Brand SERP, it's cheap, it's easy, you control the message, front, center, right at the top. And if you've got the rich site links, the homepage, and a great Google ad, everything above the fold is controlled 100% by you. So it may well be worth looking at Google Ads as an option, even if nobody else is bidding on your brand term. If they are bidding on your brand term, you really do need to make sure that you push them off, push them down, and get your message front center right at the top with the Google ad. Next is semi-control. The items that we semi-control are typically social accounts. Social accounts will rank on your Brand SERP. If they don't rank on your Brand SERP, it's either that Google doesn't consider them to be important, or that you've got a very bad social strategy on that particular platform. So look at that. If you don't have them, you should perhaps think about what you're doing with your digital strategy on that particular aspect. And if you do have them, you can optimize them. You can change your titles. You can change your descriptions. I've also put Wikipedia there. Obviously, you don't control Wikipedia, but you can edit it. Be very careful. If you have a Wikipedia page, don't over-edit it. You will get a warning, and you might even get the page deleted. But you can correct it. The other one is reviews, the little review stars there. If you've got a review site up there, you can push people to add reviews to that platform, to improve and make that more positive for your brand. I've got Crunchbase there. That sometimes ranks. That's a little bit like Wikidata. It's a database of businesses, brands, people. That will often rank on Brand SERPs. You can improve that. That you can change. Search Engine Journal I've got there because I have a profile on Search Engine Journal because I guest blog for Search Engine Journal. I therefore have indirect control or partial control on that profile, and I can control what is shown. Depending on the country you're in, my Search Engine my Search Engine Journal profile will appear on the Brand SERP, and I control that partially. If you're in France, my Malt profile appears, and I control that partially too. No control. Typically forums. People who write blog articles about you, or journalists who write articles about you. You have no direct control, but nothing stops you in the case of articles reaching out to these people and talking to them about what they've said about you and what's appearing on your Brand SERP, and perhaps help them to improve both for themselves, but also for you on your own Brand SERP. In the case of forums, you can get involved in the forums, or you can contact the forum owner and try to get them to change it. So you can't control it directly, but you can certainly reach out, create a relationship, and ask these people to help. Next is drowning. I don't like the term drowning. I have to use it because it's what a lot of people use. It implies online reputation management, and that's not what we're doing here. We're not drowning bad results. We're improving the existing business card. If you do have bad results, obviously you need to get rid of them. I prefer the term leapfrogging. With leapfrogging, what we do is identify better content underneath the content that we find suboptimal or negative, and we optimize that to push it up above the content that we don't want on our brand SERP. And once again, I'd really like to push this home. It's not just bad content, it's suboptimal content. It's content that isn't sufficiently accurate, positive, and convincing for your audience searching your brand name. Once again, we get this concept of content you control, content you semi-control, and content you don't control. Leapfrogger content can be optimized. You can either control it, optimize it directly, semi-control it, optimize it indirectly, or content you don't control and optimize it by going through the person who does control that content. There's also the option of creating new content. This is traditional drowning. If you go and see somebody about online reputation management, I've got a bad result on my first page. How can I get rid of it? They will immediately suggest creating lots of content to drown it. That is generally not a good idea. Why? Because it's very difficult to create large amounts of quality content that truly reflects your brand and get it to rank. Because Google is reflecting your brand. It's reflecting the world's opinion of your brand. So new content will tend not to rank unless it's on a very powerful site. And how much content on powerful sites such as The Guardian or Libération in France or Malt or Search Engine Journal can you truly expect to create? So new content, keep it down to the elements that you can create that are truly valuable to your audience, that Google will perceive as being truly valuable, truly relevant, and truly helpful to somebody searching your brand name. Don't create lots of content on bad quality sites in an attempt to drown. It won't work. Next, rich elements, and this is my favorite part, which is why I saved it to last and why I've saved myself 15 minutes to talk about it. Rich elements are very sexy. If we've talked before a lot about being positive and about being accurate, by optimizing existing content that you control, you don't control, you semi-control, or by pushing up content below the content that is negative or suboptimal, what we can do with rich elements is make the SERP convincing and kill blue links. I love the idea of killing blue links, not because I don't like blue links, but because the less blue links you have, the less results you have on your brand SERP, the less there is for you to control, the less there is for you to worry about. And the easier it is to make that SERP positive, accurate, and convincing. And every time you create a rich element, such as a Twitter box, rich site links under your homepage, video boxes, you kill a blue link, you remove one from your brand SERP. Now I've got a database of about 20,000 brands with 10 million brand SERPs, and I've analyzed the number of blue links on a brand SERP, and the average is 7.5. If you're currently looking at your brand SERP, count the number of blue links that appear. Your homepage, maybe a profile page or two, social profile page, article, review site. If it's more than 7, you're not doing a very good job of being convincing, because these rich elements are what make your brand convincing at first glance. Here's some examples and some numbers from my database at Kalicube. As I said, I'm tracking 20,000 brands, 10 million brand SERPs, and I'm about to release an article on Search Engine Journal that explains some specific aspects of this. Now, the data from my collection, and it's sad to say, and I do feel like a little bit of a sad person, I collect brand SERPs. It's a bit like stamp collecting or coin collecting. You feel a little bit embarrassed, but you really get interested, and I love brand SERPs. I study them every day, and for 7 years, every time I study the brand SERPs that I've been collecting, I learn something new. Here's something you probably didn't know. 45% of brands have got rich site links. That's a very low number. I would have expected most brands to have brand SERPs. Rich site links. If you don't have rich site links, you don't look convincing. Think about when you search for a brand. If you don't see those nice blue links with multiple accesses to their different areas of their site, you feel somewhere deep in your soul that that brand is not convincing, it's not credible. So if you don't have them, you need to work to get them. And if you don't have them, it's generally because either your site is badly organized and Google hasn't understood where the parts of your site that might be interesting to these people who are searching your brand name might be, or you have a technical issue that you need to deal with. And one typical technical issue that I've solved many times for clients is redirects according to browser language or IP address. That's a big mistake, and it often loses you these rich site links. Next, people also ask. I love people also ask because it indicates that Google's understood the company. In order to find these questions that people might want to ask around a company, it needs to understand who the company is and what they do. And that's fundamental to any digital strategy that involves Google. You need to make sure that Google has understood who you are and what you do. And people also ask indicates that it has done that. It also, unfortunately, gives an awful lot of leeway for other people to control your brand SERP. If you have on the brand SERP you're looking at, people also ask, check out who occupies those spots. Click on the links. What is Microsoft software in this case? Why did Bill Gates create Microsoft? Is it your brand who's answering those questions? If it isn't, it should be. Next is Twitter. I love Twitter. If you look on the left, I tweeted this earlier on, later today, 1500 hours CET, Brand SERPs live webinar with Malt Academy, 14 seconds. I got my Twitter message onto my brand SERP in 14 seconds. That's real-time control of my brand SERP. That's really interesting in the case I mentioned earlier of existing clients who search your brand multiple times in a day. If they search your brand and they glance down, they will notice that that Twitter box is changing on a regular basis. That indicates that you're active, that you're a credible brand with a credible Twitter strategy. And on mobile, they look really cool when you use images. So I advise using images and videos because on mobile, Twitter boxes look double sexy. Videos too. Videos look great. If you don't have videos on your brand SERP, what does that mean? It means that Google doesn't see videos, your videos, as being valuable and relevant to people searching your brand name. And that implies that your video strategy is lacking. It's not a great video strategy because Google cannot see the value of those videos for your audience. If you're making the videos and they're not ranking on your brand SERP, the implication here is that those videos are missing their mark. They don't hold enough value that Google can see for Google to rank them. So you need to rethink your video strategy. If you don't have videos at all, if you don't have a video strategy, I advise you to start a video strategy because what do we all do today? We watch video, especially on mobile. Images. 24% of brands have images. If we go back, 25% have got videos, 24% have got images. Why do I say down from 36? Because videos are increasing and images are decreasing. As a general rule, if you have video boxes, you won't have image boxes. And if Google can choose between the two, it will choose video boxes. And what I learned, I interviewed Minaz from Bing, who's the team lead for multimedia content at Bing, who told me how the algorithm functions. And one thing he told me is images and videos are part of the same algorithm. So they don't get two spots as a general rule. If you get images, you won't get videos. If you get videos, you won't get images. But as a rule in brands, if you have a quality, good video strategy, you will get the video boxes rather than the image boxes. So you want to aim for that. Next, related searches. Once again, we're looking at people also ask, we're looking at understanding. Google has understood who this company is and what it is they do. Because if it hadn't, it couldn't offer related searches within that industry. And here we have SE ranking, which is a competitor to SEMrush. And it's showing these different tools within their industry as related searches. And that implies understanding. And if you know anything about the knowledge graph, that's phenomenally important today in every single aspect of SEO. And if you don't know about the knowledge graph, look up Jason Barnard knowledge graph. There are lots of articles that I've written out there about why the knowledge graph is important, what it is, how it functions, and how you can best leverage it. Next, featured snippet. There aren't very many, only 2%. Why is that? Because we're not asking Google a question that it can answer with one single result. Here it's done that, but these are disappearing. There are only 2% and there are less and less every time I look. Why? Because there isn't one single simple answer to who is this brand, which is the implied question when somebody searches your brand name. Google needs to give those 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, results plus the rich elements in order to give the audience a balanced overview of who the company is, what they represent, and are they credible. The knowledge graph, back to that. The knowledge graph drives the knowledge panel. If you think about companies you search for, if they don't have a knowledge panel, they don't look credible. And we come back to that idea once again of convincing. A brand that doesn't have a knowledge panel doesn't look credible and convincing. So you really want to get one of these. And the Microsoft one is a lovely example of a very rich knowledge panel. It shows that Google has truly understood the name, the category, if you read it from top to bottom, description, which it takes from Wikipedia, although not always. Only 56% of knowledge panels have a description that's pulled from Wikipedia. 12% have descriptions pulled from elsewhere, and the rest, 32%, have no description at all. Below that, we have the stock price, we have customer service, founded, CEO, and the founders, and their social profiles. This is all information that you can feed to Google, you want to feed to Google, because the more Google understands who you are and what you do, the more it can potentially match you as a solution to its users' problems. And in the wider context of what you're trying to do in terms of your optimization for Google, is that Google's users are asking Google questions. They're looking for solutions to problems, and Google is trying to match solutions to problems. If you want Google to match your solution to the problem its user is expressing when they make a search, for example, buy an iPhone, it needs to understand who you are, what you do, and what you are proposing as a solution. If it hasn't understood that, it cannot provide you adequately as a solution. So you want to make sure that Google has understood, and the knowledge panel is a very, very clear indication that Google has understood who you are and what you do. And that increases your chances incredibly to be provided as a potential solution to the problem a user is expressing on Google. And here we're looking at several rich SERPs. I took them 3 at random from my collection. And we can see clearly that we've got 6 links, we've got 5 links, we've got 7 links. These are rich SERPs, rich brand SERPs that look convincing because they've got the Twitter boxes, they've got the video boxes, they've got the knowledge panels, and they've got only 7 blue links to control instead of the 10 that one would traditionally expect from a result. So aiming at these rich elements not only helps you in that it reduces the amount of content you need to control on that brand SERP to make your business card sexy, accurate, positive, and convincing. But it also increases the, how can I put it, the positive message that's being sent at a glance to anybody who's looking at your business card, your Google brand SERP. So which is yours going to be? The one on the left, which is boring, 10 blue links, doesn't look convincing, or the one on the right with the rich elements and the positive message that's accurate? And this is the last little bit. For the brand SERPs, what you need to start doing as of today is to track them. If you track them, you can then measure them. You can measure, is it good? Is it bad? Is it positive? Is it accurate? Is it convincing? Yes or no? Once you've done that, you can start improving it. You can improve it by the methods that I described earlier on, by improving individual results that you control, you don't control, or you semi-control, or by pushing out results that represent you badly, or by triggering the rich elements to make that SERP more convincing than it was before. Most importantly, for me at least, you can then control that brand SERP. And EasyJet's a great example. If you look at this result, there's only one right at the bottom, Skyscanner, that they have no control at all over, that they're really leaving to chance. Look at your brand SERP. Do you have that level of control? Is it positive? Is it accurate? Is it convincing? And do you control it? Then search for my name, Jason Barnard, and you'll see that I control a very credible, very accurate, and very positive brand SERP. Now, I hope you're glad you listened. I'll remind you why you were listening and what I explained. We're optimizing our brand SERPs. We're tracking them, measuring them, improving them, and perhaps controlling them for people who are vital to our bottom line. People who are bottom of funnel, converting, or already converted, and are already a client. Or people who are researching us to see if they want to do business, whether it's writing an article, become an employee, or become a partner. And what can you do? You can take action. You can track, you can measure, and you can improve and control, and make your brand SERP incredibly sexy, which means positive, accurate, and convincing. And you can track your brand SERP for free on Kalicube. I'm tracking 20,000. You can add your brand for free. That would make 20,001, and that's absolutely fine by me. And you will become part of my collection, which I love. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jason. I just noticed 2 questions from the audience. First one is from Alice. How do we understand how Google is thinking and deciding what adds value or not?
Well, you can't ever really understand Google. Google's a phenomenally complex machine that nobody understands, not even the people who built it. Google is built, in fact, interestingly enough, the whole algorithm of Google is built around the algorithm that runs the blue links. And on top of that, they've got algorithms for all these rich elements I've been talking about, the feature snippet, the knowledge panel, the Twitter boxes, the multimedia images and videos. And each of those acts in its own manner to push its content onto the SERP if that content is valuable. And we come back to this idea, they will win a place on that SERP only if they're valuable. And if you look at my name, Jason Barnard, Search Engine Journal, Darwinism in Search, I wrote an article about Darwinism in Search, how all of this functions based on something that Gary Ilias from Google explained to me, and that's since been confirmed by Frederick Dubu at Bing. So we know it's true. This is how it functions. And the question is a wonderful question because it does beg that question. How does it decide? Read that article. I can't explain it in 5 minutes here. But look at it take a step back and look at it and say, if Google's showing videos, it considers those videos to be valuable to users searching my brand name. I need to look at those videos from the outside and see why it thinks they're valuable. They're valuable, I would imagine, because there is engagement from your audience, because they represent your brand accurately and positively. Google doesn't have any reason to represent your brand in any way other than accurately in terms of what it sees the world's perception of you as being. And I like that idea that Google, with their brand SERPs, with your brand SERP, sorry, on Google, is simply reflecting the world's opinion of you. It's reflecting your ecosystem. And if it's not great, if it's not what you think, for example, if you're investing heavily in videos and your video boxes aren't appearing, you're not doing a very good job with your money investing in those videos. You're investing that money in a imperfect manner. So you need to look at that video strategy again. So look at where you're investing your money in marketing, online marketing, and see what appears. And if they don't match, then you can start asking yourself questions.
There is another question from Axel. How important would you say the brand SERP is for a starting business?
Oh, I love that question. I was talking to, what was his name? I can't remember his name. Eric. I remember his first name, but not his second name. And he was saying he specializes in SEO for startups. And he said, I don't care about brand SERPs, because nobody searches the brand name. The volume of searches is 10 per month because nobody's heard of us. The conversation then moved on to, who are the 10 people searching that brand name? One of them is probably the investor who's about to put $1 million into your company. So the brand SERP does matter. Whether it's 10 people searching your brand name a month or 100,000 people searching your brand name a month, the basic point is still the same. those people are vital to your business. And in the case of a startup who's looking for investors, your investor is going to Google your brand name to research you at some point in the process of making that decision. So you have to make sure that your brand SERP looks great for that one person, that one time they search it.
I don't see any more questions. People, do you have some other question before ending this session? So there is a question from Simon.
Great stuff.
You told us why it's important to optimize the brand SERP, but do you have efficient tools or advices which could work?
Yeah, well, I mentioned here, I mean, I'll go back to that screen. You can actually track your brand SERP using Kalicube. You just enter your brand name and the domain name that corresponds, and it tracks your brand SERP across 6 different Anglophone countries, US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. And it will track and give you a quality score for that brand SERP. And beyond that, the cases are always very different. Each brand SERP is unique in the sense that every single company has a different strategy, marketing strategy, and and I think this is important, an ecosystem online. And Google is simply reflecting your brand's ecosystem. So every single case is going to be unique. And I've actually just released a course. It's an online course. If you go to kalicube.pro/courses, you'll find the course where I teach you from from A to Z rather, not step 1, because otherwise we don't have an ending to it. From A to Z, how to manage your brand SERP, how to optimize it. And initially with the course, I was going to do just 16 lessons. I ended up, the more I researched it, the more I realized how much there is to do, how much we can actually control, how much we can optimize, how much we can make that brand SERP look perfect. And the course is now 40 lessons written. I've only released 10 for the moment, but I've got 40 written. And over this year, I'm going to release 8 courses, 8 mini courses that will allow you and empower you, if I may use a very American term, empower you to optimize and manage your brand SERP.
And there is one interesting question from Kathy. How do we manage brands in different languages, like if we have a tagline?
Yeah, this is actually a really, really complicated problem. There's a lady called Cindy Crum who runs Mobile Moxie, who's absolutely brilliant. And she came to Search Why, which is a conference in Paris in January. And she was talking about how results can get mixed up with multilingual situations. And Switzerland's a great example of how mixed up it can get, because you've got Italian, you've got German, or Swiss German rather, and you've got French. So if you search in a specific language within one of those areas and your browser is set to a different language, it all becomes very confused very quickly, and the mixture can get quite complex quite quickly. In terms of managing it as best you can with your site, you need to make sure you've got hreflang correctly set. You need to make sure your tagline for each language corresponds to your brand message and is correctly inserted in every single source that Google might find in that language for your brand. So once you start looking at multinational, I mean, and it's a great question, because here I was only looking at English. If you look at French, if you look at German, in these different territories, it all gets mixed up very easily. And making sure that you manage every single language correctly is a phenomenally large amount of work for an international company. And one last thing about the international aspect is, I was talking to Nathan Chalmers from Bing, who's the whole page team lead. And I love the idea at Bing is that they've got it, the system is they've got the blue links with all these rich elements that can come in and take a place of a blue link. And then they have a team that optimizes the whole page. They decide what's going to be shown on the whole page. And he's the expert in what a SERP, the makeup of a SERP, the anatomy of a SERP. And I love the word anatomy of a SERP. And what we're looking to do with the brand SERPs here is control and adapt and improve the anatomy of our SERPs. And he's saying that the SERPs that are the most volatile across countries are brand SERPs. And the SERPs that are richest are brand SERPs. So brand SERPs have this amazing capacity to be rich with all these rich elements, with Twitter boxes, video boxes, image boxes, related searches, the list goes. Podcasts, I just got podcast boxes on my brand SERP. Podcasts, that's new, and they're coming up all the time. Brand searches are the richest SERPs in the business. And they're also the most volatile across different countries, because different countries have different relevant sources that represent that brand. If you go to Australia, the New York Times is not a good reference. The Sydney Tribune is a good reference. So the Sydney Tribune will rank in Australia, but it won't rank in America. So you have that problem of internationalization. Add to that the problem of language, add to that the problem of richness, and you've got a phenomenally complex story to deal with.
Thanks a lot. There are two questions left. One is from Fab and one is from Michelle. I will start with the one from Fab. What if I have a website that I don't control and has a very high Google SEO ranking for a brand name, and the content displayed is not representative at all? Example, I have a customer, big restaurant, full of good reviews, and the first that appear is the worst and is a fake one. TripAdvisor doesn't want to remove it while it's obviously fake and written by concurrency, and very well written with good keywords in terms of SEO.
Yep, okay, that's a big problem. What I found out, I had this problem with Google My Business with fake reviews. A client came to see me and said, I want to get rid of the fake reviews. They're obviously fake. She had tried getting rid of them. She'd contacted the support. She'd talked to them on the phone. She sent them emails and they said no. What we did was research it like Sherlock Holmes. It was what would you call it? Investigation. And I created a case and I argued my case through a big long document that argued why I thought these were fake reviews. And I proved to Google My Business that they were fake reviews and they removed them. It took me 2 weeks from the moment I started investigating to the moment they were removed. It took me a day to investigate. So first thing is to prove to TripAdvisor, and I don't know your specific case, but the person I was dealing with who had this problem had simply said they're fake, please remove them. That isn't enough. If you want any platform, be it TripAdvisor, Google My Business or whatever, to remove reviews because they're fake, you have to prove they're fake. You have to prove that these reviews don't respect their guidelines. Why do they have guidelines? They're trying to protect their reputation. So you have to prove to them that these reviews are damaging their reputation. They don't care about your reputation. They care about their own reputation. And so if we come back to anything you don't control, there's no point in reaching out to somebody who has content that they control that you don't like or you want to be changed and ask them to change it for your own benefit. They don't care about you. They will only change it if it benefits them. So you need to find the approach that makes them see the value for their business in helping you. So if you've approached it by saying, I think these are fake, these are damaging my business, your answer is almost always going to be no. If you say, these are fake, it's damaging your reputation, and here's why they're fake, the answer will probably be yes. The other alternative is what I was talking about earlier on, is leapfrogging. If you've tried to create lots of fake spammy articles to try and drown it, that isn't going to work. You need to find content underneath it and convince Google that that better content is more valuable to its users searching your brand name. Right now, in this particular example, why is TripAdvisor ranking? Because TripAdvisor is obviously a very strong site, but also because Google feels that that's representative of the brand. I'm sure you're saying it's not and you're getting annoyed. A lot of my clients get annoyed with me at this point. The point isn't, is it true or is it not true? The point is, why does Google think it's true? Why does Google think it's representative? If you start investigating it from that point of view, you've got a good chance of finding content that you can convince Google is more valuable, more representative, more useful to its users searching your brand, and push that content up and push the bad content, in this case, down.
So from Michelle,
Sorry, Fab. I think that was Fab. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was pretty aggressive, but I think that's the approach you need to take. And it isn't always easy.
So is Twitter absolutely necessary? Today we've got too many platforms to manage for personal and professional use in different countries. Must we be present on Twitter in order to ensure higher ranking on the search engine?
Very good question. No, you don't have to do Twitter. You need to choose platforms that are truly relevant to your audience, and the platforms that are relevant and valuable and helpful to your audience, where your audience truly engage, are the ones that will rank on Google. And if Twitter isn't a good platform for your business, then Twitter isn't the social platform you should be focusing on. You should be focusing perhaps on Facebook or on Instagram or Pinterest if you're a fashion business, for example. The advantage with Twitter, there are two advantages with Twitter, one of which is it's a feed directly into Google. Everything you tweet, everything you put on Twitter feeds directly into Google. And as we saw earlier on with the Twitter box, is 14 seconds between when I tweet and when Google shows it. That means that Twitter is a way to inject information directly into the heart of Google, and that's very powerful and very interesting. That's point number one, why I tend to, I do a lot of tweeting and twittering because I know that Google sees it, Google digests it. And the equivalent for Bing, Microsoft, is LinkedIn, because LinkedIn belongs to Bing or Microsoft. So if you want to convince Bing, you use LinkedIn. If you want to convince Google, you use Twitter. But Google also reads LinkedIn. LinkedIn's actually powerful on both. And the second reason for brand SERPs, at least, that I find Twitter incredibly interesting is that you get those big Twitter boxes, which are convincing, take up an extra space, kill a blue link. And that's incredibly useful when you're trying to manage your brand SERP, especially if we talk back about negative content or suboptimal content. If you've only got 7 results instead of 10 results because you've got Twitter boxes, video boxes, and rich site links, that's only 7 opportunities for bad, or in fact 6 because your homepage is 1. That's only 6 opportunities for bad content to ever rank. So if you can get to the position where you've only got 7 blue links on your brand SERP, it means you're protecting yourself from these bad results resurfacing in the future. It's proactive online reputation management.
And there is one left, and then I think we will end up this talk. Mercy asks, why do you ask for Google Plus in your markup generator?
Somebody's been researching, because I forgot to take it out. I'm sorry, I'll do that later on. So Google Plus is now dead. Very good point. However good I think I am at all the things I'm doing, I get it wrong as well. So yes, I need to take that off. Google Plus is not a useful element to put into schema markup for organizations, but that person has obviously gone to look at the site calicube.pro and has found the tools that we've put available for people. One of them is schema markup generator, and we were looking at knowledge panels. And if I quickly go back to it, because I'm a big fan of knowledge panels, I've been in journal Wikipedia page. And Wikipedia, when one thinks of knowledge panels, one thinks, oh, Wikipedia. And as I said earlier, I don't know if it went past too quickly, perhaps, or not. 56% of knowledge panels have a Wikipedia link. 32% have no link at all, i.e. they have no citation. And 12% have citations and links that are not Wikipedia. So today you can create and you can trigger, that knowledge panel without a Wikipedia page. And the reason that's interesting in this particular context is the place to start is on your own site. Your own site is the place that Google will go to look for information first. Whether it believes that information is the question they're on in. So you need to explain who you are and what you do very clearly on your site, particularly on your About Us page. Add the schema markup that person just mentioned. Make sure that schema markup is accurate. And the reason the Google Plus thing is interesting is because the tool allows you to enter things like your Facebook profile, your Twitter profile, your Wikipedia page, and it directs Google to the different sources of information where it can corroborate this information, where it can confirm that what you're saying on your site is true. And once it's done that, once it's confirmed that what you're saying is true, it will give you that knowledge panel. And you don't need a Wikipedia page to get it anymore.